After decades of an unidentified Jane Doe, a family member identifies her here in Texas.
Plus, international travel opens up for those who are properly documented and vaccinated.
And how a high school made this student's year by crowning her homecoming queen.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV Nightly News.
Thanks for joining us on North Texas Television. I'm Jack Springer.
And I'm Gabby Carden. A 41-year-old murder case finally has a name to the face of the victim. In 1980, a young woman from Minnesota was murdered. Her name was Sherry Ann Jarvis. Clay Falls has the story.
Her name was Sherry Ann Jarvis, but for decades she was known as Jane Doe here in Walker County. A lot of detective work and science have finally solved the mystery of who she is. The work continues to capture her killer. Sherry Jarvis was 14 when she came to Walker County from Stillwater, Minnesota in 1980. Her body was found on the side of Interstate 45. Investigators believe she was raped, strangled, and left for dead.
Tissue samples that were taken from the original autopsy. Ortho Labs was able to obtain a DNA profile, and the samples were used to start building a family tree.
A lab in the Woodlands used new techniques in what's called forensic-grade genome sequencing to help unravel this long mystery.
We can take evidence that is very old, DNA that's been previously unsuitable or unusable in other methods and traditional testing processes, and we can pull genetic information, markers and such.
Some of the girl's family was at Thursday's press conference. We learned Sherry was no longer in her family's custody due to truancy. A deputy read their statement.
Our parents passed away never knowing what happened to her or having any form of closure, but we are grateful that they never had to endure the pain of knowing her death was so brutal. We take a measure of comfort in knowing that she has been identified.
Investigators tell me they're still tracking down some promising leads on who her killer might be, but so far no one has been brought to justice for this crime. In Huntsville, Clay Falls, News 3.
As of yesterday, the Denton Police Department has made 800 DWI arrests so far this year. This is the highest number of DWI arrests the department has made in one calendar year. In 2019, 711 DWI arrests were made and 637 in 2020. On Tuesday, a small plane's rear gear collapsed in the Denton airport and there was a rough landing. Fortunately, the pilot was uninjured. According to the Denton Fire Department, 2 alerts regarding the aircraft were received by Denton firefighters. Initially, the incident in the afternoon was ruled a crash. The plane roughly landed at Denton Enterprise Airport after 2:38 p.m. One person was inside. The firefighter department's aircraft rescue and fire apparatus was used to help lift the fallen plane and extend its gear.
Now, I'm glad the pilot is okay, and the weather right now just can't seem to decide what it wants to be.
Yeah, it sure seems like that, Sydney. Has it made up its mind today?
Yeah, guys, the weather has been a bit hectic, but now we are starting to see more steady temperatures. Let's go ahead and take a look at our current conditions in Denton. Right now, we are sitting at 72 degrees, and it does feel a little bit chillier at 69 with high wind speeds of 16 miles per hour. Now let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's conditions. We will be seeing similar temperatures. It will be 71 and feeling like 67 with lower wind speeds at 12 miles per hour. Now let's go ahead and take a look at tomorrow's forecast. Our temperatures will drop a little bit. It will be 64 and it will feel a little bit warmer at 66 with low wind speeds at 10 miles per hour. That is it for our first look. Make sure to stay with us for our full weather forecast later in the show. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you for having us, America. Bye.
Those are the words of tourists now able to travel here in the U.S. again. The U.S. is accepting vaccinated individuals from different countries. People who wish to travel to the U.S. will now have to show proper vaccination documentation and a negative COVID-19 test. Yesterday, 253 international flights were scheduled to arrive at the Newark, Liberty, and JFK airports. And international travel opening up couldn't come at a better time. The DFW airport announced yesterday that the new airline would be added to the options of international travel. Finnair is a Finnish airline that will be connecting Dallas to more than 70 European cities. The airline is set to begin taking departures in February. When we return, if you're looking to move, you might have some trouble with those North Texas home prices.
And the Dallas Zoo gives an update on the tragic deaths of 2 giraffes last month. Stick with us.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign.
low after the surge in house buying at the start of the pandemic. There are now significantly less houses on the market as compared to past years. According to the Texas Real Estate Research Center, prices have increased by 18%, while the amount of houses available for sale are down by 20%. They also state that the prices for these few homes peaked at the beginning of this year, but are slowing now as we near the end of 2021 and we shift out of the housing frenzy. This housing market is going through a lot of changes, just like the weather outside.
Honestly, I want it to be warm, but when I hear Christmas music, I kind of miss the cold. So, Sydney, what's it looking like for us?
Thanks, Gabby and Jack. Although it is November, we are still seeing fairly warm temperatures. Let's go ahead and take a look at our current conditions across North Texas. Right now, we can see that our temperatures are ranging from the high 60s and the low 70s. Our warmest temperature is going to be down in Fort Worth at 74, and our chilliest temperature is going to be up in Paris at 67 degrees. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our current conditions across the state. Again, we are seeing similar temperatures with temperatures ranging from the high 60s and the low 70s. We are going to have our warmest points at El Paso at 74, Austin at 76, and Houston at 78. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our full weather forecast. On today, it will be a 25% chance of rain, but this will be later in the evening. The rest of the week will be sunny, but it still will be fairly chilly, with Friday having the lowest temperature at 32 degrees. On Monday and Tuesday, our temperatures will warm back up, so make sure to stay updated with your weather app. That is it for our full weather forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Sydney. Zoonotic disease has been ruled out in the ongoing investigation into the deaths of 2 giraffes last month. According to the zoo, Jesse, age 14, and Augie, age 19, died due to liver problems. The food and vegetation inside the giraffe's habitat has been tested, and grazing areas have been trimmed back. The Dallas Zoo said that they have no reason to believe the danger came from inside, and animals are being let back into the habitat. Another possible cause of death was ruled out, that is encephalomyocarditis. The Dallas Zoo continues to monitor and test other hoofstock, including giraffes. Regular blood draws and liver enzyme level checks are being conducted to ensure that animals are not displaying any unusual symptoms. The investigation is still underway, and zoo officials will continue to update the public. Well, in other zoo-related news, sea otters at the aquarium in Monterey, California are receiving COVID-19 vaccines. Lisa Principe reports.
Rolling up their invisible sleeves, the 8 sea otters currently living at the Monterey Bay Aquarium have now received their shot at protection against COVID-19.
The vaccination process, once we have the animal in the net, is done in a matter of seconds. They don't get a sucker and they don't get a Band-Aid either.
Dr. Michael Murray is the director of veterinary services at the aquarium. He says the vaccine is different than the human dose donated by animal drug company Zoetis.
I felt, based on the information I had, that it was safe for sea otters and most likely effective, although we weren't really sure about that. And we've vaccinated all of them now and have not had any problems. So they've not missed a beat or a meal.
No otters have contracted the virus at the aquarium, but a group of Asian small-clawed otters at the Georgia Aquarium did test positive, showing symptoms like sneezing, runny noses, lethargy, and coughing. There were also reports of deadly outbreaks among minks, who are close cousins to otters.
We have a responsibility to the animals that are under our care to do everything we can to protect and ensure their health. And I think it would be irresponsible on our part not to offer them protection if protection is available.
The aquarium is well known for their rehabilitation program, where they care for sick otters and release them back into the wild. The aquarium says they're now looking to add this vaccine to their preventative medicine program so that any of the sea otters they release won't be spreading the virus in the wild.
I don't know specifically what effect a SARS-CoV-2 infection would have on free-ranging sea otters. I can't imagine it's good. Because they have to hunt for a living, they have to dive. The respiratory system is so important.
Southern sea otters are a threatened species, so it's a good thing that they're getting the protection they deserve.
In Maine, COVID-19 vaccination clinics for children are up and running. Although the rollout started slow, state officials expect numbers to start rising. Brian Sullivan has the story.
All right, take a deep breath like you're blowing out a candle. Now blow.
With his mom Becky by his side, Nolan Sirkovitz got his first dose of the Pfizer vaccine Monday morning.
So brave! Good job. So brave!
I think it was kind of great.
Why was it great?
It was great because I was glad to get COVID vaccinated.
He's just, I think, excited now, to be able to look ahead in the future and maybe not always have to wear masks everywhere.
Karen Martin is the school nurse in Orono.
It makes me realize that everybody is ready to, put some closure on this pandemic and get back to some normalcy in their lives and get their kids vaccinated before the holidays so that they can start doing some regular things again.
Nolan was one of around 200 children to pass through the clinic.
I'm very hopeful about it. I see a lot of kids excited to get their vaccines, and I think once we get this group done, there'll be more parents who will want their children to have the vaccine.
Michaela Sosowski, a junior nursing student at UMaine, volunteered.
I did a lot of the adult vaccines last semester, and we've anxiously been waiting for the kids to get approved to have their vaccinations, and seeing how excited these kids are about a vaccine has been pretty cool.
Definitely a unique skill because there's that element of fear that they, have to try to work with the students and with the kids. So just kind of knowing how to be a good distractor and being quick with the needle.
Dozens of UMaine nursing students will volunteer at 13 other schools' clinics just like this one, getting those shots to kids like Nolan.
It feels great.
Didn't hurt at all?
No.
2 weeks after receiving the second shot is when children are considered fully vaccinated. You should try to have your child's first dose scheduled before November 19th if you would like them to be fully vaccinated for the holidays. As vaccinations become more accessible, it's important to stay updated on COVID-19 numbers in our area. Dallas has had 1,250 new cases. In Tarrant County, there are 1,051 new cases. Finally, here in Denton County, we have 320 new cases of the virus. Throughout North Texas, there are 3,719 new cases. We are slowly seeing declining numbers as vaccines are more available. But make sure you're staying healthy as things like the flu and seasonal sickness start to appear. When we return, see what UNT has to offer this week for homecoming.
And our roads may be in danger with the new fraud scheme. Stay with us. New Mexico high school made history this week. It's the first time a student with Down syndrome has been voted homecoming queen. CNN's Sasha Leninger has more.
It's been a dream 4 years in the making for this Highland High School senior, and she got really creative too. Let me introduce you to Emily Money.
Yeah, got it.
Dressed in her finest queen attire.
Are you gonna wear the sash and the crown forever?
Only for a little bit.
Emily Money is looking and feeling like royalty after being crowned homecoming queen at Highland High School.
I said, would you like to run for the homecoming queen? And she was super excited. She already thinks of herself as a princess queen.
The 20-year-old has Down syndrome and is the first person with it to be crowned queen at the school.
It was so heartwarming. We were at the stadium and they announced it at halftime. And I had prepared Emily. I said, if they don't call your name, just smile and clap for the winner. And then they called her name.
You can see in this video Emily and her mom on the sidelines as they announce the homecoming court. You see her run through the line of cheerleaders and take a bow at the end.
I remember like the whole crowd was just standing in the air.
Homecoming king Diego Ayala celebrating that moment with Emily.
She's really fun, exciting. She's not shy to do anything.
Emily and mom getting creative too, taking advantage of her last name.
We made $100 bills with Emily's picture in them, and she passed them out to all the staff and students.
Highland rallying behind Emily, making this moment possible.
Your 2021 homecoming queen, Emily Money.
We all know it takes a village to raise a child, and with a special needs child, you need a special village.
And they found that at Highland.
It doesn't really matter if she has Down syndrome or not, that she's just as equal as we are.
I feel like queen. I'm really happy.
A graduation is right around the corner for Emily Money, and I'm willing to bet this $100 bill that I have here that this is a memory she will never forget. At Highland High School, I'm Sasha Leninger, KOAT Action 7 News. Back to you.
Here at UNT, we still have a slew of events lined up for our homecoming this week. But first, make sure you vote for your homecoming court before voting closes tomorrow. The Yell Like Hell event is tonight at 7 p.m. A night filled with fun performances will be held at the UNT Coliseum. Make sure to bring your UNT ID for free entry. Funky Fest is tomorrow from 5 to 10 p.m. and the bonfire will light up on Friday at 8 p.m. For more info about homecoming, visit homecoming.unt.edu.
Now, which of those events are you going to?
I think I really want to go to the bonfire. Roast some marshmallows, maybe get some s'mores.
Well, if those s'mores don't fill you up, or if anyone else wants to try making them, there are some restaurants around the area that are a little different than the rest. Sydney Deshawn can tell us more.
Thanks, guys. I had the chance to travel around Denton and visit some popular but unique restaurants. From Brett Penley dinners to a homeless veteran who started his own sandwich shop, these restaurants all have a different story to them. Let's check it out.
With restaurants of different cuisines and different missions scattered across the DFW area, there are many reasons to check out restaurants such as Bones and Burritos, the Patriot Sandwich Company, and Rusty Taco.
We're involved in a lot of the community events. We always do Day of the Dead. We
also do charity events sometimes.
Yeah, we do charity events, and we do the National Margarita Day. We just try to be involved in whatever way we can.
For a more pet-friendly dining experience to share with your furry friend, Bones and Burritos offers just that, including a playpen for dogs to play in and a milk bone bar.
It's not like restaurants where you can you have the least that you can bring your whole family, including your dogs and your pets, to come up here and just chill and have a good time.
Then there's restaurants like the Patriot Sandwich Company, which began after a veteran experienced homelessness and endured one of the most difficult battles of his life, and is now using this restaurant to pay tribute to a part of his life that meant a lot to him and others who served.
October 2014 until February 2015, I was on the streets. And it got to the point where I finally got into a shelter, and I got turned down for job after job because all they saw was homeless. And it got to the point where I actually was walking down the road to throw myself in front of a semi-truck because I was done.
Although they stand for different missions, these restaurants are representing the DFW in their own special way. For ntTV Nightly News, I'm Andrea Valdez.
Thanks, Sydney and Andrea. Here at UNT, diversity and inclusion is stated to be a priority. I had a chance to look deeper into the issue of Braille around campus at UNT.
Room
room number plaques like these may not seem like much, but for people with visual impairments, they are the key to navigating life. UNT has made attempts to make campus more accessible. However, many of these have fallen short of meeting the Americans with Disabilities Act requirements. People like Paulina Diaz have taken the hit hard.
When you find things that aren't accessible, even if it's the bare minimum like Braille signs, you get this sense of like this world wasn't made for you. You're not wanted here. This place wasn't made with you in mind.
The ADA and the Braille Authority of North America have strict guidelines when it comes to Braille placement, which are not met in most of the signs in buildings.
My best friend is in choir, and she came to me one day saying that one of her friends, Paulina Diaz, was having trouble with the Braille in the College of Music, saying that like Braille is normally supposed to be underneath the text that it corresponds to, and in the College of Music on all the signs, it was actually several inches to the right. And sometimes up against borders. Some of the signs didn't even have Braille to begin with.
They should be here thinking about their classes. They don't need to have the added stress of it's already stressful trying to find your class on that first day, so they don't need another, obstacle in their way.
After realizing this issue needed to be addressed, Senator Cowell used her position in the Student Government Association to outline a solution.
If there's an issue with an institution as large as a university, you don't expect something to be done overnight. And obviously this isn't going to be fixed overnight, but getting this legislation down in like a month and a half, I'm really proud that we were able to do that.
Just knowing that this is going through, it really does help me. It brings me peace of mind that I'm not alone and I'm not an outsider and I can be included, and that's a possibility, that people understand and that people care.
The projected deadline for fixing the signs within the College of Music is spring 2022. More buildings are expected to follow afterwards. I spoke with facilities about 2 weeks ago, and according to them, they have already ordered the new materials to redo the signs in the College of Music soon. There's a new danger on the road. Some small car dealers are illegally selling Texas paper license plates and making millions off of it. These license plates make it easier for criminals to disguise themselves and lets dangerous cars on the road. According to officers who investigated, it is a level of fraud that is difficult to comprehend. And in North Texas, more tags were issued than some of the largest brand name licensed car dealerships in Texas.
Be on the lookout for those fake car tags, but also be on the lookout for some amazing games coming up.
I went to the UNT basketball games last night, and they were amazing, right, James?
Yes, the UNT games went great, but before we get to college sports, we have some amazing high school basketball to watch as well. All this and more after the break. North Texans will be able to watch some of the best high school basketball prospects in the nation Friday night in Coppell. Many of the nation's top prep schools will be in attendance, as well as a multitude of 4- and 5-star recruits. Some of the top teams include Vertical Academy, Premier Academy, Link Prep, and the brand new Donda Academy. The Donda Academy is a brand new prep school founded by billionaire Kanye West, and unlike Bishop Sycamore, this team is absolutely loaded with D1 talent. The showcase will feature 4 games starting at 4 p.m. on Friday night at Coppell High School. And from D1 recruits to our D1 school, college basketball is officially back, and UNT is already off to a historic season after shattering records last year. The men's team defeated Oklahoma Christian last night in an 84-53 blowout. This resulted in the 100th win for head coach Grant McCasland. Women's basketball also had their own blowout win against USAO, winning 93-58. The women's team goes up against Howard in the next game, while the men's team takes on Buffalo Monday night in the Super Pit. And it's good to hear that basketball is winning, but it's just the cherry on top when football is winning as well. UNT has won their past 2 games, including a stellar 38-14 performance against Southern Miss. This weekend is the homecoming game against UTEP, who has lost their last 2. And while UTEP is still favored to win, UNT hopes they can keep the momentum alive this Saturday and pull out the win before facing an undefeated UTSA on Thanksgiving weekend. The homecoming game is Saturday at 3 p.m. on our home turf at Apogee. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys to the desk.
Thanks, James, and thank you guys for watching ntTV News at noon.
Join us again tonight here on North Texas Television.